We now have time for a couple of questions. As President Barroso said, the two leaders now have also to return to the session, finalizing the communique, so we don't have a lot of time, but let's start with a couple of questions. Peter Spiegel. And please state the media you represent as well as your name. Thank you.
Peter Spiegel with Financial Times. A question for each president. Peter Spiegel with the Financial Times. Can I start, Mr. Van Rompuy, with your remarks about the IMF resources? If the translation was correct, you talked about an SPV being set up within the IMF that members could contribute to. Is that alongside the decision in the October 26th and 27th to have a EU SPV? Is that a replacement for that? Can you discuss that a little bit more, how those two might interact? And for President Barroso, can I ask you to take a step back? I mean, obviously, we seem to have dodged the bullet of the Greek referendum. But clearly, the decisions made in October 26th, 27th were done to restore confidence in the market of Europe's ability to get this crisis in order. Yet 2 days later, we had instability. Do you feel that in some ways the damage has already been done? That even though maybe we have avoided the immediate crisis, the ability to restore confidence in the markets that you attempted to have in October has been undermined by the drama of the last 48 hours? Thank you.
Well, starting with my question, I've said several times, this is not a sprint, this is a marathon. By the way, marathon, as you know, it's a Greek word. This is a marathon. To restore the confidence of the markets, we need determined action. We don't have a magic bullet. We believe that now there is a situation of excessive, let's say, instability in the markets, provoked by many reasons, not only by the euro area. In fact, it's a ripple effect of the financial crisis in 2008. There is a kind of risk aversion now, and sometimes politicians are irrational, but markets also are not always rational. I believe they are overpricing risk in many cases now. But okay, we understand the point, and we are taking determined action. The euro area decision of 26 and 27 October were extremely important. Not only the decision to reinforce the firewalls, decision to recapitalization of banks, the decisions in principle to reinforce the governance of the euro area, and also decisions regarding Greece. But it's true also, I have to be open with you, that the uncertainty that came after some announcements made in Greece was not helpful. We know that. But the fact that after some dialogue with Greece, it was possible for Greece to come back and to say their absolute determination now to go on with the program. And I want to underline the fact not only the government, but the main opposition party are now stating it very clearly. I think it shows how strong are, after all, the links that bond us together. So, in fact, I'm confident, but I agree that that was not a helpful event, this kind of uncertainty. But today, after these developments, I think we are stronger. We are stronger also because the strength is a result of determination and also the capability to overcome difficulties. And after the consultation with our G20 partners and the support they gave us, perfectly aware of the difficulties of this situation, makes us confident that we are going to overcome these current difficulties. And so I trust that Greece will implement the agreements of the 26th and 27th of October. That is the message that has been given to us not only by the Prime Minister, but by the Greek system at all levels. And this is a way of reinforcing our commitments.
So on the question of providing more means for helping countries in need, we will execute, we will implement the decisions again of the European Council and of the Euro Summit. And we took two kinds of decision at that time. That was, first of all, the so-called leveraging of the EFSF with different options and even cumulative. One of them was setting up an SPV, as you rightly mentioned. We are only 1 week after our decisions. So don't expect that we have a full-fledged scheme here already on the table. And we tasked our ministers of finance to work on it and to make it operational. And then another decision taken by the Eurozone summit was that we wanted more lending capacity, more resources available for the International Monetary Fund. And there we have, again, different options. And I mentioned them in my introduction. And so we asked at that level, at level of the G20, that the ministers of finance of the G20 work on the establishment or going to more in detail on those three options. And one of those options is to setting up, you can call it some kind of trust fund, enhancing the resources of the IMF. So this is not only meant for the Eurozone, it is meant for the global community, international community. So we are working on all these, and as I said, our decisions, we have taken them a week ago. So it could be that the time frame, as President Barroso said, the time frame of the markets is different of the time frame of democracies. But let's be honest, a week, it can be a long time in politics, but for that kind of decision is a very short time.
Thank you very much. Sky Television.
A question about the Italian situation. You were saying that this IMF, if you want to monitor the surveillance, is due to reinforce the credibility. So I want to ask to both of you why the Italian credibility is at risk or is in question. And that's it.
No, I mean, Italian credibility is at risk. No, the point is, let's be objective. There are, in fact, doubts in the markets. We have seen the evolution of the spreads in Italy, and that's an objective fact. That is why Italy will now implement all the commitments taken in the Euro Area Summit. The European Commission is responsible for going ahead with a detailed assessment and monitoring. In fact, a mission will be there next week in Italy. This is important for the credibility of the efforts. But today, the Italian government also took a decision to invite the IMF to carry out a public verification of its policy implementation on a quarterly basis, also to show to the global markets their absolute determination. So it is true that for some reasons, one of the reasons I believe it was precisely the doubts regarding Greece, to be honest. The problems that happened with Greece had, as we have been making a point, a systemic effect. And so it was important for Italy to show that they are really committed to implement the agreements they made, not only in the letter addressed to President Van Rompuy and myself, by the President of the Council of Ministers, but also the decisions, very important decisions taken by the Euro area. Today, also, Italy has shown its willingness to invite IMF, used its prerogatives. Italy has used that possibility as a member of the IMF for the IMF to make this kind of public verification of its policy implementations, and I think that reinforces the credibility of the effort.
But just adding what President Barroso said, we haven't put Italy in a corner, not at all. They proposed them themselves to invite the International Monetary Funds to make that kind of monitoring. And we decided already in the European Council on the monitoring by the European Commission, which is the most fundamental one. So there is, all the discussions we had with the Italian authorities was in a very serene atmosphere, not in an atmosphere of diktat, imposing them something. No, it was in an atmosphere of cooperation, enhancing the credibility of the program. The situation of Italy is totally different than the situation compared to the situation in Greece. Totally different.
Thank you.
Totally different situation.
The last question to the lady here, because the two presidents now have to return to the working session.
Gabrielle Steinhauser from AP. If the additional IMF resources are going to be for the whole world, were there any commitments from specific countries to help with the leveraging of the EFSF, since one of the options sort of includes non-Eurozone actors? Were there any positive signs? Are you still optimistic that this is going to work, since a lot of the potential countries actually said that they would prefer acting via the IMF?
The decisions taken were for the IMF in general. And in fact, we believe it is important that the IMF continues to have resources to play its systemic role to the benefit of its all membership. So the decision of G20 do not refer explicitly to the European Union or the Euro area decisions. But we believe it is important, of course, for the reasons we've underlined earlier in terms of financial stability, that the IMF sees its resources reinforced.
But we are optimistic.
Thank you very much to President Barroso and President Van Rompuy. Apologies to all those who didn't get a chance to ask a question, but as I said, the working session is now resuming, and the